We have talked a lot about the pure and simple fact that, look, Trump's potential victory, if he wins, would be a disaster for a whole range of issues. Not only, of course, stuff going on in America, but around the world. Almost immediately, Ukraine comes to mind and what might happen there. Um, the other things and areas that are sort of going on in these is what he would obviously do in America, and people have made a lot of content about what he intends to do, if he gains power again. Make no mistake, his presidency, if he wins, is going to be incredibly worrying. However, as I have kept on saying to Graham a number of times on the Politics Social, it's not as clear cut as people are making out. And I think a lot of that really has to do with the fact that in 2016, no one expected Trump to win, and then he went and won. Things are radically different now. Everyone is very familiar with Donald Trump. And one of the big key indicators, which not a lot of people are talking about, is, well, actually, it is probably the main reason a lot of people are talking about it. So scratch that, reverse it. A lot of people are talking about the fact that abortion rights, and the fact that Republicans got rid of Roe v. Wade, something which across America everyone sort of very, very much agreed with, except this really small set of like really radical Republicans who really wanted to get rid of it. And now they've finally got rid of it, and they've got rid of Roe v. Wade, that this hated law that they've managed to finally get rid of. They are now having to deal with the consequences of it. And constantly, there are a ton of stories of what has been happening with all the stuff over the years of the fact that people do not have access to this very basic healthcare issue, or even necessity for many women. And it is having a lot of implications. And one thing in particular, it has apparently driven women not only in record numbers, not only to register to vote, it has driven them out to vote in early voting. Apparently, women votes for the early voting is way outstripping men. And it would not surprise me if on voting day, on Tuesday, that when we, or at least maybe Wednesday, maybe after we get the full breakdown, when people have really had chance to sort of look and analyze this, it would not surprise me if it really is the female vote that wins Donald Trump this victory. Because, oh boy, if that turns out to be the case, there's going to be a lot of very salty grifters out there, probably for the next couple of years, almost implicitly saying how females lost them the vote and they didn't get their precious Donald Trump. But onto some other stuff, because there is apparently a lot of anxiety now building in the Trump camp, because of course there's a lot of legal stuff following Trump, and if he wins, well, all of a sudden he can maybe do a lot of stuff about that. But if he doesn't win, well, it's going to fall on him like an avalanche. And oh boy, as people have been saying, something sooner or later is going to get him. And it really looks like this could be the case. Really looks like this could be the case, because I don't think the Republicans, if they're smart about it, if they really want to get rid of Trump, they ain't going to keep on picking up the tab to pay his legal bills. And I would not be too surprised if after this, the Republicans turn around and finally say, enough is enough. You won in 2016, but you lost to Biden. We were meant to have this red wave, which was meant to materialize and was meant to absolutely, win. I think it was the Senate. I think it might have been the House. I always get confused between the two. But it was meant to completely, absolutely guarantee you this huge victory. And of course, that did not materialize. And then now, these very same pollsters who predicted this massive red wave are the very same ones who are predicting this apparent Trump victory. When in reality, a lot of people are saying a lot of different things. I mean, you look at a lot of the long-term trends. Trump has lost a lot of support, especially amongst women. He lost a lot of support from a lot of areas where last time he had that support and he won. That is not going to be the same this time around. Now, I might be setting myself up for a catastrophic fall. Who knows? In a couple of days, Trump wins, and it's like, you know, great call on that. However, I like to point out I did get the Kimmy Badnock call right. I got that right so well, as I have been predicting that for months. However, the Trump call, I think this is not going to be potentially. Hopefully, it's not going to be close. There's literally a hashtag trending right now on Twitter of Harris Waltz landslide. God, I hope that happens. If Trump were to lose in an absolute landslide, oh boy, that point the Republicans would abandon him. Like, they would throw him under the bus because they desperately need to get rid of him. If they are to restore any sanity, then they need to get rid of him. And I would not be surprised if you start to see maybe a civil war develop between maybe, or what the MAGA people would call the rhinos, like traditional Republicans, versus the more MAGA extremist Republicans, because they're the ones who have been really driving the party, these MAGA lots. But now they've had a number of elections where they've lost quite severely. And if they lose again this time in this presidential race, then a lot of people will be turning around and really questioning, is this the way to go in their party? And they will turn their backs on MAGA. Yes, they might play with it slightly, but they won't indulge it as much as they have been doing. Just as we saw with Euroscepticism in our own Conservative Party over here in the UK, it was all about indulging them, giving them just a wee bit too much power. But if you've had all these losses very recently from the MAGA side, from the Trump side, from the Trump camp, why should you then keep on indulging this nonsense? And ultimately, I think that's what will happen. They will just stop indulging in this nonsense. And you can see the orange up here trying to creep in, but that's just how anxious Trump is, trying to claw his way in. I don't think so. I think it is very likely we are going to wake up on Wednesday morning to a Harris Waltz victory. I do very much believe that. Will it be a close victory? Very likely. That is a possibility. Trump will, of course, you can already see him laying the groundwork for this, already potentially even laying legal challenges before the votes have even been counted, before the voting has even started properly. But of course, he was going to do something like this. And then, of course, there are questions. Would he do something like January the 6th again? Maybe not. At least I think this time the Capitol Police are going to be a lot more prepared than they were last time around. So, if anything, Trump is incredibly worried. If he loses, I think the Republicans are going to take this opportunity to ditch him. I think, depending on how badly he loses, is going to be, shall we say, the time scale maybe of that loss. Ultimately, you will see, I think, MAGA now really start to be questioned, maybe within the Republican Party. Maybe something else, or someone says, right, enough is enough. Time to move on from these idiots. They've been guiding the direction of this party for some time. They haven't proved that they are worth anything in this party anymore. Time to ditch them. Bear in mind, this is exactly now what is going on in our sort of Conservative Party over here on these shores. Even though they've just elected Kimmy Badnock, the One Nationers are already, looking for ways maybe to supplant and find their way in somehow. But as always, that's another topic for another time. So as always, thank you very much for watching, and of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.